Welcome back. Welcome back. In keeping with the Black Women United hashtag, congratulations, hats off, standing ovation for Misty Copeland, who became American Ballet Theater's first African American female principal dancer in the company's 75-year history. And I loved what she said here. You have to have belief in yourself. Before anyone else, you really have to believe that you're good enough, you're worthy, and know that it's not easy. You have to put in the work, but you also have to allow yourself to dream. And she dreamed and she made it and she did it with such grace. Everything that you've seen about her being interviewed, she seems so humble in receiving this. And the fact that the ballet has been around for 75 years and it's the first time, that says a lot, and that she is the one. She's 32 years old, has been dancing since since she was in her young teens. And, she believed, and she's been very open in speaking of that she's not shaped like the other dancers. She's a Black woman. She is curves and everything, and that she has embraced that in this journey. And that to me also speaks highly of her because she knows what it means and what she's moving with. And congratulations to her on that. The next headline news that I wanted to touch on, which is not such great news, but since the South Carolina nine, the 9 people that were killed in the church, we have had at least, how many did they say? At least the latest string of churches fires have been 3 confirmed arsons in Charlotte, North Carolina, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Macon, Georgia. In all, more than half a dozen churches have burned since the mass shooting. Local and federal investigators urging patience until their investigation is complete have yet to determine an exact cause. With only the red brick walls left standing, residents of the tiny town and across the nation has slowly grown suspicious that the seemingly isolated church fires may be connected. And this is important for us to realize. And, one of the things about the article that I also posted on the Soulful Afro page is that this has been a long history of when there has been attack on the African American community, it has tended to include attacks on the Black church. And this is a quote from someone in the article. There are no other institution as central to the African American life as the church. Says Lori Maffley Kipp, a Washington University in St. Louis professor who studies religion and American history. If you want to go after a really potent symbol, that's the place you go. It's sort of like burning the cross. You can say the cross is just a couple pieces of wood put together, but that symbolism means something very important. People have set fire to Black churches since the early 19th century, a time when houses of worship largely operated as underground places, offering glimmers of hope and freedom for enslaved Black men and women. During Reconstruction, Black ministers founded churches for emancipated slaves where they could pray, learn to read, and participate in a larger community. As the number of Black churches grew over time, Maffley Kipp says, arson became one of a number of terrorist tactics used as bombings and threats against ministers, used to deter Black community members from regularly meeting. So here it is. We had the 9 shootings. We have the burning of the churches, and in the midst of that, we have the issue of the Confederate flag. And that itself, too, has become a large conversation where even some Republicans have come out and have said that the Confederate flag needs to come down. This morning on Meet the Press, Ta-Nehisi Coates was on there, and he was skeptical that he was surprised that the Confederate flag was removed in South Carolina. Of course, the sister that went up and brought it down, but now you have Republicans that are saying the symbol of this flag is a racist symbol and is a symbol that speaks to a divide. So we need to really address that. So that was one of the issues that we need to address. Also, one of the things that has come up is in the president's eulogy, he spoke of wanting us to begin to address some of the divisions, some of the issues of reparations and reconstruction. And the Institute of the Black World has sent out a press release and a letter to the president asking that he form a John Hope Franklin reparatory commission to address some of the issues that he has brought up in his speech after the shooting in South Carolina and also in his eulogy. And if you're interested in seeing that letter at length, please visit the IBW page. What else? Other than that, Donald Trump. Donald Trump, can we just say Donald Trump has lost his mind? So Donald Trump has come out and has said, I don't even want to quote him, that Mexicans are coming across the borders and we're thieves and they're stealing and da da da. And I say we because although I'm not Mexican, I am an immigrant from Central America. So I stand in support of all Univision, NBC, who will not show the Miss Universe, Miss USA contest. All the folks, they dropped the Apprentice show, and I think it's legitimately so. We found out now, yesterday or day before, that Panama is not going to be sending a person to represent Panama for the Miss Universe, and I feel bad because these young women have worked hard to be in this position to go and represent their country. But how do you go to represent your country in a contest that is owned by a man who just basically insulted everybody that's going to be on that stage? So a lot of Latin American countries have begun to pull out. A lot of Latin Americans, Latinos, have pulled out of being host of the show, being judges. Emmett Smith was a judge of the show, and I loved his statement because he said, he can't stay based on what he said, but I think he's married to his wife was a contestant in one of these shows, and he acknowledges that he knows what they have to go through, but he also wants to recognize that this was not okay, what Donald Trump said. So more power to the people that came out. America Ferrara's statement was wonderful because she basically said, you have highlighted who you are, and that now we know what you're moving with. So I'm glad the Latino community came out. I think it would, as a Black Latina, I would want them to come out a little stronger on more issues because I think Donald Trump has insulted the Black community too, and we have come out. Black Latinos are supporting the Latino community as a whole, but the Latino community as a whole has not been completely supportive of Black Latinos' position. So this is also a time to pause and reflect on what it is to have a unified Latino voice. So those are some of the latest headlines, and we need to continue to speak up on some of these issues. The Dominican Republic and Haiti issue is still ongoing. They are now beginning to deport Dominicans of Haitian descent. At first, they had paused for a minute for those who had papers. But what we're hearing is that they made it very difficult for folks to get their papers to be able to stay. And sadly, these people are going to be stateless because they are Dominicans of Haitian descent, and they don't have Haitian papers. So Haiti is saying, we'll take the ones that have Haitian papers, but we can't take the ones that have Dominican papers. So sadly, for vulnerable Dominicans of Haitian descent, or even Haitians that have been working in the sugar canes for years and years and years, who are now have only called Dominican Republic home, are now going to be deported. The end of the registration period has passed. They did add a 40-day period ending August 1st for people who submitted and finalized their paperwork. So that's a good thing, but it's still happening. Um, the deportations targeting unregistered Haitian migrants and potentially also Dominican born people of Haitian descent are expected to resume after that date, but there is still a shroud of mystery over who may be at risk, is what this article is saying, how the deportations will be carried out, and what their fates will be in Haiti. But what we're seeing is a lot of people have begun to voluntarily return instead of waiting, because it is just heartbreaking to then be pulled without, at least they know they can plan something beforehand. So those are some of the latest headlines. For more information on these headlines, for more articles to read on these headlines, please visit the Soulful Afro with Yvette page on our Facebook page, and you will get the latest on these issues. We will take another break and we will be right back.